The commander swap event in Rise of Kingdoms is easily one of the most important events that will ever come to your account, and players absolutely loved it when it first came out. So the question is it time for another commander swap event? Should the developers give us another commander swap event? Is it time? I'll answer that question in this video, and we're also going to go over the best free-to-play and spender strategies for the commander swap event, and what commanders should you even be getting from this event to get the most value out of it, because they've added a lot of new commanders to this event since it first ever came into the game. So today we're gonna go over all that, but first, what's going on, guys? Cheers. We're back to LaCroix. It's been a minute since I've been chugging these things. Not sponsored, by the way, but if they want to sponsor me, let me know. Now the first thing we have to go over is, what is the legendary commander swap event? If you are a brand new player, maybe you have heard of this event. I've mentioned it in other videos. You've probably heard other YouTubers talk about it, or maybe people in your alliance or Discord or whatever have told you that this event is very important for the progression of your account, and that is 100% true. So this event comes around one time for each of your characters in the game. So what am I talking about? Well, this is my main account and this is my farm account, and each of these will get the commander swap event one time, and that is it. Later in the video I'll talk about whether or not we deserve to have it again. Okay, that's a big topic of discussion, so stay tuned for that. But the commander swap event comes around once per character, depending on how old that character is. So if you are a brand new player and you have not entered kvk 2 yet, the commander swap event comes around at the end of kvk 2. If you are an older player, you quit the game a long time ago and now you are coming back to the game, the commander swap event will be available to you immediately when you log in. And as you can see right here, it looks like a little golden ticket with two arrows pointing in opposite directions, and as you can see here, you have 5 days to take advantage of this event, and that is it. Once those 5 days are over, this event is gone forever. So it is crucial that you are prepared for this event as soon as you see it show up to your account, because if you miss this, then it may take you months to recover, and I'm not even kidding, because you can save hundreds of legendary commander sculptures by utilizing this event. Okay, so now that you know when the commander swap event comes around and how long it lasts, what actually is it? Well, it's pretty simple. As the name suggests, it will allow you to swap the progress of 2 legendary commanders on your account. So for example, let's say you quit the game a couple of years ago and you had an expertise herald, or let's say you're a brand new player and you've been spending all your sculptures on Seong-Gye and he is your only expertise commander. When the commander swap event comes around, let's say that you want to swap them for someone else. Now I'm going to use Justinian as an example. Do not get Justinian from this event. Okay, this is merely an example, but I'm showing you this because he has 1 star, he's level 1, he only has 1 skill. Okay, if I were to do the commander swap event between my Justinian and my herald, what would happen is my herald is 6 stars, so my Justinian would now be 6 stars. My herald has all of his skills maxed, so my Justinian would have all of his skills maxed. My herald is level 60, Justinian would be level 60, and once that swap occurs, now my herald is going to be 1 star, my herald is going to be level 1, my herald is going to have all of his skills locked except for the first one. Okay, so it is very self-explanatory. You take 2 commanders that you own and you swap the progress on those commanders. Now why is this such an important event? Well, it's because if you are a new player, then up until now you've only had access to older commanders like El Cid, like Julius Caesar, like Frederick. These are all commanders that come from the gold keys, but they're not very powerful in the end game, and as soon as you finish kvk 2, you're going to have access to some of the best commanders in Rise of Kingdoms. And so it allows you to jumpstart your progress towards the end game by trading in that progress that you've made in the early game for progress on newer, stronger commanders that are available in only the end game. And likewise, if you are a returning player, then again, you might have some of these older commanders that are just maxed out and you feel like you're really far behind, and you just get to take that progress and essentially pick up where you left off with a newer, better commander. Now that you know the fundamentals of the event, let's go over some rules here. Okay, you can only swap commanders a total of 2 times. All right, so you get 2 swaps, and after that you're done. So you can't swap a whole set of 5 armies, 2 commanders each, right? Each commander can only be swapped once, right? So you can't swap an expertise YSG with an emperor Qin, right? So you swap them out, and then you can't take, like, for example, an expertise Julius Caesar and then swap for your YSG again to get an expertise YSG /G. First of all, why would you do that? You could just swap the Julius Caesar for the Emperor Chin, right? Obviously, but that's an important distinction here. Also, you can only select commanders eligible for the event, gathering commanders, and commanders whose sculptures cannot be redeemed with legendary commander sculptures such as Ishida, Cleopatra, Sunduk, Hannibal, Minamoto, and Ethelfled are not eligible. Okay, so if you thought, oh, I'm gonna get rid of my Cleopatra, no, you're not. They banned it. Okay, rule number 3, you can only select commanders that you already recruited. Now, you might be saying, Omni, that's a bit of a restriction, right? If I'm a brand new player, how do I even get access to these newer, better commanders? We're gonna go over that in just a second, so stay tuned. Swapping commanders will also swap their upgrade cost records, of course. The greater the level difference, the more legendary swap tickets it'll cost. We will go over the optimal swapping strategy in this video. Swaps cannot be undone, so proceed with caution. Don't reach out to support. They ain't gonna help you. Okay, if you immigrate during this event, you will no longer be able to participate regardless of if you participated in your original kingdom or not. Okay, so if you just came back to the game, don't immediately migrate to a new kingdom. Do this first, then migrate. A couple of other requirements for this event. First of all, you have to be level 8, like your city hall has to be level 8. I mean, I would imagine so. Okay, second of all, in order to do these swaps, you need what are called swap tickets, and you can see that in the top right corner right here. Okay, and we're going to go over how many of these you're going to need in order to do your 2 swaps for your account. But as you can see right here, there are 2 different ways that you can get access to these tickets. First of all, you can buy them for 100 gems a piece, and you can only purchase 120 of them in this manner, which means to max this out, you're going to need 12,000 gems when this event comes around. So if you are a free-to-play player, then I would start saving now. Okay, especially if you're in kvk1 or something like that. Like, you want to guarantee always have at least 12,000 gems in your account for when this event comes around, because you do not want to miss this. Second of all, you can purchase these tickets from a bundle that is around for a limited time called the Fresh Faces bundle, and this bundle can be purchased, as you can see on the bottom, a total of 10 times. Okay, and each bundle is $5. So if you buy the $5 bundle 10 times, that is $50 if you want to max this bundle. Okay, the only thing in this bundle is tickets and some VIP points and some gems. There's no resources, there's no speed ups, there's none of that. Okay, that is literally all that it is, but it's nice that it's only $5 because you get 12 tickets a piece, and you might only have to buy this bundle a couple of times. We're going to go over that in this video. Now, you might be wondering, how many tickets do you actually need in order to do the 2 swaps for your account? And you can refer to this table to understand how many tickets you might need. So for example, if you have a commander that is 1000, you just unlocked them and you didn't do anything, you didn't give them any experience, any stars, no skill ups, nothing like that, and you want to swap them with a legendary that is already fully expertised. So for example, let's say you have an expertise level 60 YSG, max stars, everything like that, and you want to swap them with a Emperor Chin that you just got. That's going to cost you 120 tickets. Or to use a visual example, this is actually a commander swap that another ROK YouTuber actually did a few months ago. Their name is Firefly. Shout out to them for recording their actual swaps. They did this more recently than I did, but here you can see they were able to swap their El Cid and King Arthur for only 12 tickets. So what actually is the cost here? Well, their El Cid was 5 stars, level 50, 5411, and their King Arthur was 4 stars, 1111. So everything was unlocked. So they were able to swap these 2 commanders, and now they have a King Arthur level 50, 5 stars, 5411, and they only spent 12 tickets. So that is 1,200 gems. Obviously you'd rather have an expertise commander, but like, you have to do with what you've got here. Sometimes you might not have a better option than to get a commander at 5411. Now, assuming that you only want to swap new commanders with expertise commanders, like let's assume you had the luxury of getting 2 expertise commanders by the end of kvk2, that's totally possible, but not everybody actually does it. You could do one of 2 things. First of all, the brand new commanders that you want to get expertise, you can upgrade them to 4 stars. You can get their first skill to 5, and that would effectively make them 5111, and that will cost you 36 tickets. So if you did that twice, then you would do 36 tickets for both of the swaps. That would be 72 tickets in total. So that's 7,200 gems. And it will also cost you 100 gold heads, right? Because you're getting that new commander to 5, right? Which means you have to upgrade the first skill 4 times, which is 10 sculptures, 10 sculptures, 15 sculptures, 15 sculptures. So 30 plus 20 is 50. And you're doing that twice. So that's a total of 100 sculptures, 7,200 gems, and you'll get 2 expertise commanders. And honestly, that's probably your best strategy for the least number of tickets and the least amount of investment. But let's say you don't have that many sculptures to invest. You could do something like this, where you do 2 swaps, where instead of bringing the commander to 5-1-1-1, you bring them to 2-1-1-1, or I think you actually might be able to do this at 1-1-1-1, where it's just you bring them to 4 stars and you unlock all the skills. I think that's also 72 tickets, but someone can let me know in the comment section below if that is still the case. If not, let's assume worst case scenario 2-1-1-1 for both commanders. Okay, that's 20 legendary commander sculptures. You're also going to need 72 tickets times 2, so that's 144, which means you're going to have to spend some money on the bundles, right? Because remember, you can only get 120 tickets from gems, right? So you would need 12,000 gems, plus you would have to buy 2 of the swap ticket bundles. Those are $5 each, so that is $10 in total. So 12,000 gems, $10, and that'll get you 2 expertise commanders for only the 2-1-1-1 investment, or possibly even 1-1-1-1 if you can confirm that down below. And of course, you can mix and match these 2 different strategies, right? Like you could do 1 commander at 5-1-1-1, or if you have a lot more sculptures to invest, you can even do like a commander like this and like this, or you could do, you know, 1 like this and 1 like this. It really just depends on what exactly you have on your account to invest in this exact event. But there's a lot of different combinations that you can achieve here where you don't actually have to spend money on the bundles, and you can still walk away with some really powerful commanders. And again, these ticket costs are going to be even lower if the commander you're swapping to is not actually expertise, right? Like we saw in the previous example where Firefly swapped El Cid and his King Arthur, El Cid not being expertise. It was only 12 tickets. Okay, now let's talk about how you're actually going to get these commanders that you're going to swap to, right? Because remember, one of the rules is that you need to actually own the commander that you're going to be swapping to, right? And that is in the form of the Gathering of Heroes event, or if you are a returning player, you're also going to have the unique opportunity to spin the returnee wheel, right? So you'll have this welcome back event. It'll last for 30 days, and the returnee wheel is going to give you the chance to actually spin the Wheel of Fortune, even if the Wheel of Fortune's not even around, right? You can spin the Wheel of Fortune and you can get your hands on a legendary commander that you might really like. So in this example, I would say if you're a returning player, you have a huge advantage here, right? Because you're going to be able to just get your hands on some of these commanders immediately, and all it's going to cost you is some gems, and honestly you could just spin this and get pretty lucky, right? So there's that is definitely one thing, and it looks like the drop rate should be the same as it is for the regular Wheel of Fortune, so this is definitely your best case scenario. Now the other thing is, if you're not a returning player, you're brand new, you're going to have the Gathering of Heroes, and this is going to be the only way that you can get these commanders. Now we'll talk in a second about why the returnee wheel is like really good for this event, but basically it has to do with phases, right? So effectively the Gathering of Heroes event requires that you spend this quest currency in order to unlock these commanders, right? So let's use once again Emperor Chen as an example. He costs 100 of these tokens. Okay, now as you can see, I've got 2, and you can actually earn these tokens in a couple of different ways. Every single day that you log in, you can get 10 of these tokens from killing 100 barbs. You can also gather a bunch of resources on the map up to 2 million. You get a little bit from logging in. You have repeatable quests where you can spend gems or spend speed ups in order to get more of these tokens, and then there's also some challenge quests. So logging in for the full 5 days, spending a certain number of gems is also going to get you a lot of these tokens as well. Increasing your troop power is another really big one here. So it's going to be really challenging for you to get your hands on some of this currency, which is why the returnee wheel is so good. But the other thing that is a bit of a bottleneck here is the different phases, right? So for example, with archers, if you want to get your hands on Zhuge Liang, you're going to have a problem because you have to recruit 2 more commanders before you even get the chance to get Zhuge Liang, which is quite annoying. And not only that, by the way, your first recruit costs 100. I think your second recruit costs 500, and every recruit after that costs 500. So if you want Zhuge Liang, you're going to need 600 currency just to get the 2 unlocks. Then you're going to need another 500 to get Zhuge Liang as well, right? Because he's going to cost 500. So you could just do the math on how hard that is to do. So keep that in mind, like it is not very easy. Now the way around this would be to only get the commanders that are in phase 0, right? I'm calling this phase 0 because there's no prerequisites here, and that would include commanders such as Emperor Qin, Bai Qi, or King Arthur. These are really great options, which is why you see the game literally puts a little fire emoji next to them, because they are cream of the crop, some of the best commanders in the game, and they are also some of the newest newest commanders of each of these troop types. But the difficulty of getting this currency and also the restrictions on the phases is why the returnee wheel is so valuable here, because you can literally, let's say you want Emperor Qin and you want Zhuge Liang, you just spin the wheel until you unlock them, and then you just switch the wheel over to the other one, and then bada bing bada boom, you've got your hands on both of them for however many gems, right? And so, you know, obviously you might be a low spender to take advantage of this, or maybe a higher spender as well, but this is like a really great way to get your hands on some of these commanders. Liu Che is another great example, because Liu Che is also a phase 1 commander during the Gathering of Heroes, right? He can only be unlocked after 2 recruits, so keep that in mind. It's also kind of crazy how Ragnar Prime's not here, but either way, he's probably not a commander you would get from this anyway, which leads me to the point of who do you actually get from the commander swap event. Now, there are 2 strategies that you can take here. First of all, you could go all in on one troop type, and that is probably your best strategy for this event, right? Because of course you get 2 swaps, and an army has 2 commanders, and so you just get 2 and then you're good to go, right? The other strategy you could take here is to get your hands on some of the best commanders in the game of different troop types, and you could sort of start working on 2 of these different armies at the same time. Now, if you want to go all in on infantry, for example, I would say the 2 best commanders are Bai Chi and Liu Che. This commander pairing with Bai Chi as the primary, Liu Che as the secondary, this is the single best infantry commander pairing in the game at the time of recording this video. And as you know, obviously phase 1 means you can't just get Liu Che unless you have the returnee wheel. So if you do have that luxury, then fantastic, get Liu Che from here, get Bai Chi from here, and then you can do your commander swap for both of them. Now, between the 2, I would say if you can only expertise one of them, I would say Liu Che is probably the way to go. Bai Chi you can use with less investment, even though he is super strong when he's expertised as well. If there is no possible way for you to get Liu Che because you don't have the returning wheel and you don't have enough of this currency to do 3 total unlocks, then you could do something like Bai Chi with somebody like William Wallace, for example, or you could get somebody like Philip to sort of fill in the gaps there, right? No pun intended. He'll fill in the gaps, right? As an infantry commander, he's going to be giving you up to 35% defense, 20% health. He's a bit more supportive with his active skill. He gives you some all damage. He has some instant proc, so you could throw him behind Bai Chi for now, and then eventually you'll get your hands on Liu Che to replace him. If you are an archer commander, you're in a really weird spot, because as you know, if you saw my most recent archer guide, it's a little bit bizarre, right? Because you have YSG, and YSG is actually a really strong commander even in the end game, and thus, you know, despite that, he's still going to be the commander that probably is the most invested in, right? In terms of like how much investment do you have in your YSG. So what you would want to do is, if your YSG is expertised, you know, obviously you would want to get an expertised Emperor Qin and then pair them together, right? You would put YSG behind Emperor Qin, but let's say that you've really been slacking and you only have 1 commander expertise, and that's YSG, and that's all you have. Should you still swap it for Emperor Qin, knowing that they go together? The answer is yes. Why is the answer yes? Because Emperor Qin is just infinitely better than YSG. He's just the cream of the crop. He's the best archer in the game, right? So even though they go together and you are sacrificing your secondary for your primary, there's a reason he's called the primary. He's more important in this sense, right? So what you could try to do is, you know, you unlock Emperor Qin, maybe you get him to like 5511, and then you do the swap with your YSG, and then your Emperor Qin becomes expertise, your YSG is 5511. That's not ideal, that's not very good, right? But it's the best that you can do in that scenario, and it's still better to have an Emperor Qin expertise than a YSG expertise, right? So that's the way to go. If you are able to do more than just that, right, I would say, you know, if you can get your hands on 2 commanders, just like with infantry, the best is going to be Emperor Qin and Zhuge Liang, a commander from phase 1, right? And so once again, if you have the returning wheel, then get Zhuge Liang from the returning wheel, get Emperor Qin from the swap event, or from, I should say, the Gathering Heroes event, and then do your swaps there, right? Of course, Emperor Qin primary, Zhuge Liang secondary. Of the 2, it's more important, I would say, to have Emperor Qin expertise, even though the expertise is really good here, and this rage engine is very valuable for Emperor Qin. Really, I mean, honestly, you kind of want both of them expertise. I know some people have been messing around with less than expertise Emperor Qins, but at the end of the day, like, he is just so absolutely busted that you really just need need it, right? When it comes to cavalry, you've got a really weird setup here. Unfortunately, cavalry's best current lineup at the time of recording this does involve skill damage, which is kind of bizarre. I know some people are using Attila with their Arthur, right? And that's totally possible, but that is not gonna last. So I wouldn't recommend like that. I wouldn't recommend that for the future, right? Like if you have it right now, great, but if you're going to be building an account towards the future, I'm not sure that Attila is a great direction to point you towards if you're a brand new player or if you're returning to the game. If you already had Attila expertise from back in the day, great news, you could put him behind your King Arthur and that'd be great, right? But really there's two routes that you can go here for cavalry at the time of recording. This is probably going to change by the end of the year, by the way, but of course King Arthur is your best bet, right? Obviously get King Arthur, he's the way to go. He's the best archer commander in the game right now. He deals so much insane damage, it's very, very good. Then as a secondary commander, you've got two options. First of all, if you want, you can get Philip, right? Philip is fantastic. He gives you instant proc, which is pretty good for combo commanders. He gives you all damage, he gives you a lot of march speed. There's a lot to love about the Philip as the secondary here. You could also do William, right? If you want a pure just all in cavalry, you could do King Arthur, William secondary. I don't love that. Again, William, even though he's very supportive, he's very good, but he's also very old and his damage factor is extremely power crept at this point. So it's like, of all these commanders that you could choose from, is he really someone you want to waste a swap on? Probably not, right? If you have the returning wheel, you could get your hands on Hua, right? And you could do Hua primary and you could do King Arthur secondary, and that would effectively be a skill damage commander pairing. Personally, for right now, I would probably point you in the direction of King Arthur and Philip, because they both are phase 0 commanders, and so you don't need any prerequisites, especially if you don't have the returning wheel. That's probably the way to go for cavalry at the time of recording this video. But again, if you're watching this video in 5 months or something like that, there's probably going to be another cavalry commander here, and if they are a combo commander and they're in phase 0, there's a good chance that whatever that new commander is probably going to have a fire next to him, right? And you probably want to pair him with King Arthur. Now if they move King Arthur down to phase 1, that's going to be really, I'm going to be real upset about that. That's gonna be a bummer. Hopefully they both stay in phase 1, but anyway, that's kind of my advice for that. When it comes to ranged, I would not recommend getting a ranged march from your commander swap event. I think if you are going to go all in on ranged, I would say build that ranged march after you've already got 1 or 2 really strong field marches, right? You need to be able to participate in every open field fight, and ranged can sort of do that unless the open field is moving really quick, or unless the pass just opened and you got to run all the way across Kingsland. Like there's a lot of little scenarios where ranged aren't like great for. Even a ranged player is going to tell you that if they're being honest with themselves, right? So yeah, if you want ranged, I would say just hold off for now. I would say go all in on one of the 3 main troop types and then come back to ranged later down the line. And also like the phase 0 ranged here are not very impressive. 2 of them are like, these are season 2 commanders even, right? So yeah. Now the last thing we're going to cover here in this video is, when is this event coming back? And should we get another one, right? And the first thing that we have to touch on here is, when is this event coming back? Well, at the time of recording this, the answer is never. I'm sorry to say, if you've already done your commander swaps on your character, it will never come back according to the developers. That is their official stance. They've said that repeatedly over and over and over again. This is a one-time per character event, right? I know a lot of people have had hope that this would come back, and I hope that it does too, but I just want to set that expectation that officially from the developers, this event will not be coming back. If that changes, I will of course be making a video about it, and if you don't want to miss that, you should definitely subscribe down below and click the bell, because we are so close to 90,000 subscribers, which is insane. And if you made it this far into the video, you probably should click that button anyway. Really appreciate it. Also, then the question becomes, why isn't it coming back, and should we get it back? Well, the answer is because if we continuously got new commander swap events, then that kind of diminishes the whole point in investing in commanders anyway, right? Like if they just like if every 6 months they gave you a new way to swap, it's just like, well, my god, why would I even spend money on the wheel? Why would I even spend gems on the wheel? Why would I even care about any of this stuff if eventually I can just swap my old commanders for new ones, right? And that would also give an unfair advantage to those sort of whale players who've been around for a really long time, like myself, who have a bunch of old spare commanders just lying around, right? Like I could do commander swaps for days and it would only be a net gain, right? Like I could swap out my Cao Cao, I could swap out my Mehmed, I could swap out my Richard, I could swap out Mulan, I could swap out for my Frederick, my Julius Caesar, my Yi Sun Sin. Like there's so many commanders here that I could just swap away, right? Sargon, I could just swap you away and just see absolutely no detriment to my account for very little cost, right? Like I've spent a lot in the game. I have no problem but maxing that, you know, $50 bundles again, right? So, you know, it just, the players that have tons of expertise commanders would just have a disproportionately higher advantage if this event kept coming around, right? So So that's one way to look at it. Then the other side of the coin is, okay, well, you know, people feel like with ever since King Arthur, I should say, and leading all the way up through Emperor Qin, I feel like the 10th generation's been really strong, right? It's been really strong, and we have more. I mean, we're in at end of July, we've got more commanders on the way, right? Like more commanders are going to be coming throughout the rest of the year. Who knows how strong they're going to be, right? And so I think a lot of players are looking at these newer, stronger commanders, and they're saying like, wow, like I expertise Ragnar Prime and I really regret it because now I wish I had Emperor Qin. Or wow, I just finished expertising my Joan of Arc Prime and now I can't get my hands on King Arthur, right? Like, so I think there is a little bit of frustration from players who, you know, they remember how good the event was and they're thinking, man, like if that event just came around again, that would really help, right? And I think there's some truth to that, right? And I think that there maybe is a middle ground. I think maybe every other year, right? Maybe they bring back this event for the anniversary. I think this event first came around the most recent anniversary for Rise of Kingdoms, I would say around what was it, November of last year of 2024, right? So we're coming up on the 1 year, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, I could see, like, I think every year would be fine. If we did every year, it would have to be one swap per year, not the two that we got originally. And even then it's just like, I mean, I could see it, but it also, that feels, again, it feels pretty frequent to do that. I mean, you know, to be clear, I would benefit from that extremely, right? So I'm not sitting here and saying that I wouldn't want that. Of course I would want that, right? Like, let's do it. I'm happy for it, right? But, you know, just again, from a game balance perspective, you have to think about, again, players like me who I could just constantly be swapping these commanders to the point where my legendary sculpture economy would just be so much better than a brand new free-to-play player that they will just never catch up to me, right? It's just impossible. And I mean, even now it's going to be hard for them to do that, right? So once per year, as much as I would love that and everybody would love that, I think that there is an argument for it to not be that frequent. So if we did like one swap every other year, I think that would be cool. Or maybe you lock it behind like certain milestones for your account, right? Like maybe lock it behind like consecutive login days, you know, like maybe make it so that way every, let's say 500 login days, you get a one commander swap, right? Or something like that. I think that would be a pretty cool way to reward those players who do log in every day, right? And give them something to look forward to. I think that would be fair, right? You're a loyal player of the game for 500 days. Here's a swap, you get to, you know, swap commander, right? Because again, this was and I should say is the most popular event that I've ever seen for Rise of Kingdoms. Like, it was just all good and no bad, right? Like, everyone loved the event. There's some things about it that were a little frustrating, but like everyone as a whole generally loved the event, and it was attainable, right? Like, you know, 12,000 gems is like definitely attainable even by free-to-play players if you're able to prepare for it, right? So that's kind of like, you know, because so many players loved it, I would like to see it come back. But again, I understand that, like, first of all, there's always downsides to stuff like that, and also, like, the dev said that it will, right? So we have to operate under the assumption that it will not be coming back. I don't want you guys to be like planning on this event coming back or anything like that. If they said it won't come back, I assume it will not come back, but maybe one day in the future, perhaps if we get lucky, maybe it will. So that's kind of my thoughts on this. If you guys were wondering when it's going to come back, if it's going to come back, the answer is it is probably not ever going to come back, because they said it will not come back, even though I would like to see it come back in some capacity, even if it's not as frequently as other players might expect it or wanted to come around. But guys, if you made it to the end of the video, drop a thumbs up on it. It really helps out the channel a ton. It helps get this video out into the YouTube algorithm so other Rise of Kingdoms players might see it. And while you're down there, consider subscribing to the channel and clicking the bell to be notified the next time I upload a Rise of Kingdoms video, because we are so close to 90,000 subscribers, which is insane. Thank you guys so much if you've already subscribed. I really do appreciate it. And comment down below what you think about the legendary commander swap event. Do you agree with the commanders that I told you should be your #1 priorities here? Let me know down below, and let me know if this event is coming around for you. Do you want it to come around again? I'm curious to know what you guys think. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Omniarch. I will talk to you guys again soon. Peace.